Here we go. Hi.
Welcome back to another episode of Wicked.
Mysterious.
I'm your host, Danie.
And I'm Katie.
And this is season 2, episode 4.
Yep.
Already.
I know. How fast?
Just keeps getting higher and higher. I just can't believe it.
I didn't think we were going to bring that into season 2, but all right.
I forgot about it till just this moment.
Yeah.
So how are you?
I'm good. How about you?
Yeah, that wasn't believable. I'm good. I'm better. October was a really crappy month, I feel like.
Yeah.
But we're rejuvenated and refreshed.
All right. We're back and ready.
So before we get started today, just want to give a shout out to our new Patreon supporter, Linda Newman.
Oh, thank you, Linda.
So one good thing about us recording at the very last second is that she won't have to wait for her shout out. So Thank you so much, Linda Newman.
Yes, we are very last minute.
Yes, that's all right.
Yeah, if we didn't tell them, they would not know.
She would.
Oh, she would. That's true.
Nobody else would know.
Yeah. Well, secret is with you, Linda.
And all of our other listeners.
Secret would have been with Linda. Linda sounds like a trustworthy person.
She does. Okay. So, are you ready for today's episode?
I am so ready for your episode.
Okay. Here we go. Antarctica is the most southern continent on Earth. At 5.5 million square miles, this least populated continent is covered by the Antarctic ice sheet, which is on average 1.2 miles thick.
Whoa.
Yes,
Thick?
Thick.
Damn. That's got some girth.
This continent is located in the Arctic Circle and is home to the South Pole. It holds the record for the lowest temperature ever recorded on Earth, which was negative 128.6 degrees Fahrenheit. Despite 70% of the world's freshwater resources being located here, Antarctica is also the driest continent on Earth. It's also Earth's coldest and windiest.
Miserable.
Yes.
That's why it's least populated.
Correct. The people that do reside in Antarctica are all scientists who perform research on the land and oceans in the Antarctic Circle. These researchers are all from one of 12 countries that have signed the Antarctic Treaty. This treaty was signed on December 1st, 1959, and agreed that the continent would be preserved for scientific study and completely demilitarized, including banning the disposal of nuclear waste, nuclear testing, and testing of all other military weapons. An addition to the treaty was signed in 1991, which banned mining for minerals and drilling for oil for the next 50 years. The fact that all major nations came together to sign a treaty to protect mostly uninhabitable land is considered strange by many people. This has sparked discussion and investigation by conspiracy theorists. Let's get into it.
Ooh.
For some reason, I cannot say Antarctica, so this is like a very difficult episode.
You just said it.
Yeah, but like I feel
Isn't
like
that C that throws you off?
no, it's the T.
Oh,
The first T. A lot of people say A lot of people say Antarctica, but I'm like Antarctica.
Yeah,
like,
Antarctica.
I don't know. It sounds weird to me, but
yeah.
Okay.
It is a very, very weird continent.
It is.
Let's get into it.
Just wait.
Yeah.
Antarctica was Terra Australis Incognita, or the unknown southern land. It was not proven to be its own continent until explorers circumnavigated the Cape of Good Hope in South Africa in the 15th century and Cape Horn in Southern America in the 16th century.
These names.
James Cook got as close as 150 miles to Antarctica in 1773 when he discovered new islands the first time he and his crew passed into the Antarctic Circle. Antarctica was officially discovered when Russian explorers discovered the Fimbul Ice Shelf at the Princess Martha Coast. This is the most northern coast of Antarctica, which is now claimed by Norway. Shortly after, Antarctica was visited by British and American explorers. By 1910, the race to find the South Pole was on. It was officially discovered by Roald Amundsen, a Norwegian explorer, on December 14th, 1911. A subsequent expedition consisting of 5 British explorers found the South Pole 33 days later, but all 5 died from starvation and hypothermia on their way back. The Ice Cube Neutrino Observatory was built and finished construction in 2010, and in 2013, it reported neutrinos originating from outside of our solar system coming through the ice, coming like from the ground back into space. This project is a CERN experiment.
Okay.
And so here we go again with
CERN.
Yeah. With the physics. So I'm sorry. I'm going to try my hardest. Neutrinos are small particles that carry no electrical charge. They can pass through matter and are formed by nuclear fission inside stars. There are trillions created every second and come toward and pass through Earth. They're very hard to detect, but sometimes they collide with atoms on Earth and can be detected by sensors full of chlorine, which then creates argon, and then they can measure that.
Okay.
But there's like millions of them shooting at Earth all the time, and they're so small, and they don't, they at first they thought that they didn't have mass, and then they thought that they do have like a little bit of mass, but they're very hard to detect, and they only we can only detect them if it like crashes into Earth into certain things, like certain chemicals, I guess.
Yeah.
So 28 neutrinos were detected, 2 of which researchers named Bert and Ernie had the highest energy of any neutrinos to date.
Whoa.
And that happened in Antarctica, and they don't know why. So they came like through the ice. Yeah. So here's a quote from Live Science and an article called Mysterious Particles Spewing from Antarctica Defy Physics that further explains what this ice cube thing detected in 2018, so a few years later. It says, ultra-high energy neutrinos from deep space are different from their low-energy cousins. Much rarer than low-energy neutrinos, they have wider cross-sections, meaning they're more likely to collide with other particles as they pass through them. The odds of an ultra-high energy neutrino making it all the way through Earth intact are so low that you'd never expect to detect it happening. That's why the ANITA detections were so surprising. ANITA stands for Antarctic Impulsive Transient Antenna. So there's an antenna there that detected these. Live Science says, it was as if the instrument had won the lottery twice, and then Ice Cube had won it a couple more times as soon as it started buying tickets. And then I also found this quote from Wikipedia that also explains a little bit what happened. Because this is like a big deal, but it just doesn't sound like it because we don't know what we're talking about. But it's like very...
It's hard.
It's hard to understand, but... Like it says, it hit the lottery twice.
Yeah.
So like these neutrinos are hard to detect as they are, and the ones that they detected are like even harder to detect. So the chances that anything would pick it up at all are so super slim. So Wikipedia says in July 2018, the Ice Cube Neutrino Observatory announced that they have traced an extremely high energy neutrino that hit their detector in September 2017 back to its point of origin, which is located 5.7 billion light years away in the direction of the constellation Orion. So that's where it came from originally, but somehow passed through Earth, I guess the top way, and then came through the bottom of the Earth, the ice in Antarctica.
That's wild.
So this was the first time that a neutrino detector had been used to locate an object in space and indicated that a source of cosmic rays had been identified. Okay, so now with all that
out of the
quantum
way,
physics mumbo jumbo
and
out of the way,
our brain can breathe again.
Yeah, somebody out there understands that.
Somebody.
Okay. In June 2023, whistleblower Eric Heckler spoke at Stephen Greer's Disclosure Project event. Heckler was a contractor who worked for 1 year at the South Pole. He worked for Raytheon Technologies Corporation, and that's a defense organization that is headquartered in Arlington, Virginia, but it serves internationally. It's one of the biggest of its kind, both in revenue and market capitalization. Okay. He states he worked there in 2010 as a firefighter at the Ice Cube Neutrino Observatory, and that the observatory is actually a directed energy weapon platform and is used to communicate with spacecraft in deep space and basically serves as air traffic control for ships entering and exiting our atmosphere. He further claims that the South Pole is home to an ELF, or extremely low frequency transmitter, which he was told was defunct and later found out was fully operational. He says that this is used for nefarious purposes. Interestingly, the U.S. Navy alone has spent $25 million studying the effects of electromagnetic frequencies. Some reported effects of these frequencies are childhood leukemia and Alzheimer's. Heckler also discusses that the Ice Cube Neutrino Observatory can cause earthquakes. So put a pin in that. Huh. When first turned on, it generated recordable seismic activity. He claims he saw a giant green laser emit from the Atmospheric Research Observatory, which he thinks could be used either for defense or for communication with extraterrestrial spacecraft. His personal belief is that there is either some sort of secret power system located there or some sort of nuclear plant that was there before the Antarctic Treaty. For more information on Heckler's claims, he has interviews and documentation to support his claims on his website, which is called deciphering.tv.
Okay. Huh.
Okay. So there's that. There's a long-standing conspiracy theory that the Nazis had a secret base on Antarctica, which has mostly been debunked. Hitler did, however, send a secret expedition to Antarctica in 1938. As Germany ramped up for World War II, they needed to find their own source of fats for soaps, candles, and margarine, something Germans apparently ate a lot of back then. Relying on foreign import of fat put too much pressure on Germany as they were gearing up for war, so Hitler sent an expedition crew to the Antarctic Ocean to hunt whale for their oil. Germany did try to stake a claim on an area which they called New Swabia, which was located on an already claimed area, Queen Maud Land, by Norway. Germany eventually abandoned this claim. But because they did make that claim, people think that the Nazis had a secret base there, which is possible, but it's never been proven. And I think that's just a confusion because they tried to stake a claim of land, but the land was already claimed and nothing ever happened, supposedly. Some of the theories involving the Nazis based on Antarctica stem from the theory that the Nazis were successful in building flying saucers to be used in war efforts. During World War II, UFOs were seen regularly over military bases, including what was known as the Foo Fighters. Foo Fighters were UFOs and different UAPs that were assumed to be advanced ships or advanced weapons being used by the opposing forces during the war. So each side thought it was aircraft or aerial phenomena caused by the other side. So this whole time that they've thought Nazi Germany had UFOs, It was only because they were seeing UFOs, but so was Germany, and Germany thought they were ours.
Right. That would make sense. Side note, every time I hear the word Foo Fighter, I think of me calling the band Foo Fighters Foo Fighters. No idea why, but I do.
It's all right. That's like when I called Taking Back Sunday, Taking Back Thursday, because I follow that Facebook page, Taking Back Thursday.
And there's a band Thursday too.
Yes,
so.
That's why I got all confused.
Yeah. Back to that.
Yeah, so...
Sorry.
Even into the Cold War, UFOs were assumed to be Soviet ships that were reverse engineered from the original Nazi technology. So if you've listened to this podcast before, we've talked about the theory that UFOs are actual ships being piloted by extraterrestrials who are trying to prevent the catastrophic use of nuclear weapons. That theory is probably much more likely than Germany creating this technology. So where did the claims of Nazis having UFOs at a secret base in Antarctica come from?
Yeah.
So in 1946, a year after World War II ended, the United States Navy launched Operation High Jump. This lasted until 1947. They released their list of objectives for this operation, and none of which were believed by the public. So the first one is training personnel and testing equipment in frigid conditions, consolidating and extending the United States sovereignty over the largest practicable area of the Antarctic continent. This part they publicly denied.
Okay.
Because that's basically saying they're trying to take the land, and then they denied that. But,
yeah.
Okay. Determining the feasibility of establishing, maintaining, and utilizing bases in the Antarctic and investigating possible base sites.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Developing techniques for establishing, maintaining, and utilizing air bases on ice, with particular attention to later applicability of such techniques and operations in interior Greenland, where conditions are comparable to those in the Antarctic. So, like, this is before that treaty. Amplifying existing stores of knowledge of electromagnetic, geological, geographic, hydrographic, and meteorological propagation conditions in the area.
Oh, shit.
Right? So that was what they said that they were going down there for.
What was the very first one that you read on there? Testing human conditions in the frigid...
Training personnel and testing equipment in frigid conditions.
Oh, okay. Testing equipment, not testing humans in frigid temperatures.
Well, kind of. I think that was part of it, too, because it was like military exercises.
Trying to see how they could survive, yeah.
Yes. So... Okay, so this is where it gets crazy.
Uh-huh.
So 4,700 military personnel were sent to Antarctica for this supposedly scientific operation. According to a 2006 Russian documentary with a name I cannot pronounce, the operation planned on being 6 months long, but only lasted 8 weeks due to a large amount of fatalities. Admiral Byrd of the U.S. Navy claimed that they were attacked by an enemy that could, quote, fly from pole to pole at incredible speeds, like North Pole to South Pole.
Wait a minute.
Yes.
You lost me because I was taking a sip of my seltzer when you said that the documentary you could not pronounce.
Yeah.
Or by a person you could not pronounce.
Actually, the documentary, I do have the name in English, but at the time I wrote this, I was like, what is that? It was like crazy Russian lettering.
Okay.
I'll get to it, though.
I feel you on the Russian thing.
Yeah.
Because after
they're not like...
No, it's not okay. Wait, all right, so what I was going to say is... Okay.
This wasn't supposed to be like a very dry history lesson, which is what it turned into. I think it's interesting. I hope other people do.
People will find it interesting because Antarctica itself is very interesting, and we're getting into the crazy part now.
I feel like I had to give the backstory about it to like explain why it's so strange.
Yeah. You did.
But you were going to ask about this documentary.
Oh, I missed something there because you said something's flying from pole to pole, and I missed that.
Okay.
What is?
So Admiral Byrd of the U.S. Navy claimed that they were attacked by an enemy that could, quote, fly from pole to pole at incredible speeds.
What?
Yes.
That's so crazy.
The interview was picked up by Chilean news outlets, but never by the United States media.
What?
Byrd refused to talk about it again, leading people to believe that he was either lying to cover up the casualties, that like his plan of whatever happened, like they froze to death or whatever, and he was trying to cover it up by saying there was flying saucers, or he was silenced.
So you're assuming it's a saucer? When you're reading that, I just pictured, like, when I heard enemy, I'm picturing like some sort of life form that they don't recognize. I don't know why.
It was a ship.
Oh, okay.
Of some sort.
Okay. So it was...
And I think they thought it was a Nazi base, and that's where I'm going with this, is like, I think that's where the rumor of the Nazis having a base came from because the U.S. Navy saw UFOs and thought it was German technology. Okay. But it wasn't.
Yeah, right.
I think it wasn't.
Yeah.
So... Okay. It was never picked up by the United States media, but it was by Chilean news outlets, and he never talked about it again, so they thought maybe he was silenced. The Russian documentary from 2006 explains that the KGB released previously classified Soviet files that state Operation High Jump was actually an operation to locate and destroy a secret Nazi base on Antarctica, but they were instead ambushed by unidentified flying saucers.
Okay.
A naval officer by the name of John P. Shewak was stationed on the USS Brownson. He claimed that a UFO shot out of the ocean at 700 hours on January 17th, 1947. He stated, quote, "I and my shipmates in the pilot house port side observed for several minutes the bright lights that ascended about 45 degrees into the sky very quickly. We couldn't ID the lights because our radar was limited to 250 miles in a straight line."
Wow.
End quote.
That I totally believe. I 100% believe that alien ships do frequent into the ocean.
Yes.
100%.
Yep.
Right down to the bottom.
The U.S. Navy shot at these UFOs, which then shot back at them. Lieutenant John Sayerson of the U.S. Navy said, quote, "The thing shot vertically out of the water at tremendous velocity, as though it was pursued by the devil. And flew between the masts of the ship at such high speed that the radio antenna oscillated back and forth in its turbulence. An aircraft from the Kurtik, which was another boat, took off just a few moments later and was struck with an unknown type of ray from the object and almost instantly crashed into the sea near our vessel. About 10 miles away, the torpedo boat Maddox burst into flames and began to sink. Having personally witnessed this attack by the object that flew out of the sea, all I can say was that it was frightening." So the article I read about this points out that there was never any torpedo boat used by the Navy by the name of Maddox. But this could be like a transcription error or a memory error, or maybe he just like forgot what the boat was called.
Yep.
However, in the released Soviet report from the KGB, it does say that the United States had an active disinformation campaign to hide the true nature of Operation High Jump.
So we wouldn't be able to trace it anyway.
Right.
If that's the case.
Yep. So if it's true that Operation High Jump was sent to destroy a Nazi base, couldn't it be possible that they realized that it was not a Nazi base at all and some sort of UFO base or hub? At the congressional UAP hearing that just happened earlier this year, some of the top people in UAP research state that the UAP being witnessed used technology beyond what we have now and in the future, a decade or more, and technology that defies the law of physics. It's quite possible that the rumor of the secret Nazi base in Antarctica started because that's what the U.S. government thought, but found out it was entirely something different. But there's no way that Germany had technology 100 years ago that we still don't have now.
Right.
But then again, in the Russian documentary that I watched, they state that Germany did start working on disc-shaped craft, but there's been no evidence that they were successful. There's pictures of the craft that Nazis created. There's a few different ones, but there's a disc-shaped one, there's a bell-shaped one, an acorn-shaped one.
Wow.
And they're all created by Germany. So the thought is that these UFOs were flying around, crashed.
Yep.
Both the U.S. and Germany had access to the crash sites and tried to reverse engineer them. And that's what Germany ended up having, just like we do. But when they were flying around over war zones, it wasn't either side.
Okay. Because that's what I was going to say. Like, how do you decipher? How do you know it wasn't Germany if they have been building these ships and shit?
I think that's the thought of a lot of like historians still to this day, and conspiracy theorists think that Germany did create it and reverse engineered something or came up with their own plan. But my whole thing is like, we just saw the UAP congressional hearing with these top UAP people who said that we don't have this technology now and that we don't have it 10 years in the future, and they don't think that any country does because it defies all of our known laws of physics.
Yeah.
So it's possible, I guess, but I don't
No, not the way it was
so.
flying and stuff. Yeah.
No.
I mean, again, unless they actually recovered ships and used them, you know, putting Germans in the ships and flying them.
Well, they said in the UAP congressional hearing that it's not even possible for a human to fly at that velocity. Your body would be destroyed. It can't go that fast.
But what about if we're just talking about in the Project Jump, like, you know, where they went down?
Shot out of the water.
Oh, yeah.
It said it shot out of the water and shot them with a beam, and that it was so fast it could travel from pole to pole in an instant. So I don't think...
Yeah, that's wild.
I don't think that it was German technology. Plus, it's never been proven that Germany has had a base there ever. Right. There's been no... Right. It's just not it's just proven. Kind of it's a possibility, sure, but I don't think it is. However, I did watch a documentary on YouTube that interviewed a U.S. soldier of some sort. He was in Germany, and he said that Germans did find a crash saucer and that he saw it being hauled away under tarps and stuff. So I think that they did have access to it, and I think that
we do too. Right.
But I really think because the sides don't communicate, they all just thought it was the other side.
Yeah, that makes the most sense.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah.
So speaking of advanced technology and secret power hubs in Antarctica, there is in fact a pyramid there.
Really?
You can see it yourself by Googling the coordinates and putting them into Google Earth.
Wait a minute. For some reason, I thought that Antarctica didn't even show up on Google Earth.
It does.
It does?
Yeah. I checked
Isn't
it
it
out.
the one that... I thought Antarctica was the one that's like blurred out.
Some of it... So, you know how on Google...
Because I always thought that was weird.
On Google Earth... You know how you can do the street view and it will show like the blue lines or sometimes blue dots on the map? On Antarctica, there's a bunch of blue dots, but you can't click them.
Right.
Yeah. So what I did was I just zoomed in on them and I could see stuff. I did get the coordinates for the pyramid, which was not one of the blue dots, but...
Why have I never heard about this before? That's
because,
wild.
So a lot of people are like...
Under the ice?
Yes, it's sticking out of the ice.
So you can see it through the top.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow.
A lot of people are like, it's just a mountain, and maybe it is, but I've never seen a four-sided pyramid mountain.
Perfect like that.
Yeah. Also, there's like rumors online that there's two others 10 miles inland and they're close to each other, but I couldn't, that's one of those things that you see repeated, but you can't find like any source anywhere. Geologists state that a lot of mountaintops appear to have a pyramid shape, but are less likely to have four sides. As the one on Antarctica appears to have. This pyramid is located in the Ellsworth mountain range, which was discovered by Lincoln Ellsworth in 1935. And the so-called pyramid is supposedly just a mountain peak sticking through the ice. And if it was man-made, it would have to predate the ice itself.
Right, that's what I was thinking.
Some of which is 800,000 years old.
Yeah, like...
Antarctica was once tropical 100 million years ago.
What? I did not know that.
Yeah, isn't that neat? The more you know.
I just... read that Antarctica has the lowest mortality rate in infants being born. Did you know that? They have the lowest infant mortality rate, 0%.
Yeah.
That's because only 11 babies have ever been born in Antarctica.
That.
That's wild, too.
Isn't that crazy?
And that must have been like some scientists getting it on or something, you know? Oh, and I saw something else that like meteors were found on Antarctica, like the size of cantaloupes.
There's actually meteors that have that change gravity. They have like their own gravitational pull. Which is strange.
That's pretty
in
significant.
Itself. Yeah, they're that big.
Yeah, Antarctica is a wicked, mysterious place.
Yes, it really is,
so
because it's millions of miles, and nobody has really.
That's so wild, and so much wilderness that's never been explored. Like, do you think all the Yetis live there and they just like come through portals?
I don't know.
There's
a lot of cool science. They are doing a lot of science stuff down there. Like they have scientists that are drilling through the ice to see what's underneath. And one of the drills or times that they drilled down was like over 60 miles deep.
Yeah,
I think I get into that.
Fascinating.
Here. I don't remember that, but
yeah.
So another suspicion involving Antarctica has to do with the hollow earth theory, which we'll cover in more detail in a separate episode. But geologists claim that it would be impossible for the earth to be hollow, and even if it was, it couldn't sustain life. Scientists only hypothesize all of the earth's layers based on equations and experiments, but hollow earth theorists insist that science is not using empirical evidence, meaning that we cannot see with our own eyes that the earth isn't hollow.
True.
Because we don't have the technology to drill that far down.
That's true. But I'm like, our ocean depths,
Right.
and like, we know that's full of life and
Crazy
and
stuff.
aliens. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that goes real deep. But past that,
The deepest hole we have is the Kola super deep borehole in Russia,
wow.
which we talked about before.
Yeah.
And that's only 7.6 miles deep.
Wow.
If you were to dig straight through the earth from the equator and come out the other side, the tunnel would be 8,000 miles long. Which I feel like it's more, but...
I know. Especially when you're talking about the size of freaking Antarctica.
Right.
Like, come on.
Many hollow earth theorists believe in the possibility of an extraterrestrial or humanoid life form living closer to the center of the earth.
Bingo.
One that can withstand the lack of oxygen and extremely high temperatures.
For sure.
They do not rule out the idea of lush forests and a rich diversity of flora and fauna, claiming that the earth's inner core acts as its own sun.
See, I could totally see that. Like,
I
its own
just think
little
it's so
ecosystem
cool.
in there. Like,
So cool to think about.
Yeah. We'll never know.
With the advent of Google Earth, virtual archaeologists, which I didn't know were a thing, I don't want to be one, virtual archaeologists supposedly discovered a door to a tunnel in Antarctica.
So they use Google Maps?
Yes.
Wow.
The door was silver and had rivets, though I was unable to find any pictures of this online. A cave opening can be seen on the eastern coast of the continent due to melting ice.
Wow.
Many believe that it's possible these entrances to inner Earth were hidden for thousands of years by thick layers of ice, but others think that they're still being used today. Using radar, NASA discovered a giant cavern under an ice shelf, which is the size of Manhattan. It does not seem that NASA has found anything weird in there, and the cavern is likely just filled with air. Otherwise, the radar would probably pick something up, unless NASA's lying, which they do anyway. So who knows? Mystery.
Really? True.
Okay, there's more.
Very fitting.
Here's a crazy conspiracy theory.
Okay.
In 2016, just days after Donald Trump's presidential victory, U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry took a 2-day trip to Antarctica, reportedly to learn about the effects of climate change on the continent.
Oh my.
The State Department was hit with a barrage of questions and criticisms, with people demanding to know what the cost was to taxpayers.
Yeah.
Which the State Department did not answer.
Yeah.
Many people believe that Kerry simply wanted to visit Antarctica as a check mark off his bucket list. On the way back home from Antarctica, Kerry stopped to lay over in New Zealand, as most trips to Antarctica typically do. On the morning Kerry was in New Zealand, the country was hit with a 7.8 magnitude earthquake. Now, supposedly,
Interesting.
there was a report released by the SVR, or Foreign Intelligence Service, which is Russia's external intelligence agency. The report was leaked, but I couldn't find an actual copy of it. I was getting an error on WikiLeaks or needing to pay to view on other websites.
Okay.
Anyway, I did find a website that documented what this SVR document said. It was 90% redacted, and the report said that, quote, guardians of Antarctica retaliated against the United States for sending John Kerry to try to contact them, quote, without invitation or permission at the, quote, barrier zone.
He forgot to call and let them know he was coming.
They don't want that.
Not
and there's
okay.
a barrier zone. The document states that this act is forbidden by all known protocols and that the Guardians retaliated by creating an earthquake that shook New Zealand while Kerry was there.
That I believe.
Remember that guy said that they have a earthquake maker?
Yeah.
So according to the website that I got this report from, whatdoesitmean.com, SVR analysis in this report note that Secretary Kerry's attempt to persuade the Guardians to interfere in a temporal matter was quickly and immediately rebuffed by these entities, who then ordered him to leave the barrier zone and not to return.
Wow.
Upon leaving the Antarctica barrier zone, this report continues, Secretary Kerry arrived in Christchurch, New Zealand on 12 November, where he stayed overnight before his traveling to Wellington the following day. In the early morning hours, 6:02 a.m. local time, of 13 November, while Secretary Kerry was sleeping in Christchurch.
My birthday.
Oh, happy birthday. This report notes this region was struck by a powerful 7.8 magnitude earthquake, and SVR analysis state it was a predictable consequence known to be used by these Antarctica guardians as a warning message not to interfere with their mission or research.
Yeah.
To the only contact interface allowed at the Antarctica Guardians, this report explains, is to the returning to them of ancient war destruction weapons upon their immediate discovery, such as the deadly and mysterious Ark of Gabriel, a device found in Saudi Arabia last year that was returned to Antarctica barrier zone this past February.
What?
By Russian Orthodox Church leader Patrick Kirill.
Oh my God, this is just like, that's wild.
It all like ties together, right?
Yeah. That's so interesting.
Isn't it?
Wow.
So that was all a quote, by the way.
Okay.
From this website that transcribed the report.
Okay.
So I still couldn't find the report.
Right.
But this same website goes on to say that Admiral Byrd, the one from the U.S. Navy after World War II, claimed that the continent was not at all too cold to live, and that it was documented in the 2006 Russian documentary, which, by the way, was called The Third Reich, Operation UFO. That documentary is available on YouTube with English subtitles, but it is extremely hard to find. When I searched for it in my YouTube app, I couldn't find it. When I searched for Google, I couldn't find it. I only found it using DuckDuckGo.
So it's being covered up. Like they don't want us to watch it. Okay.
And it's got like very small views, and I think that's crazy.
Yeah.
This website said that Russian documentary is required for all school children to watch in school, but when I searched for that, I couldn't find a source. So
in Russia?
Yes.
Kids?
In Russia.
Okay.
Yeah, as part of their like
I understand
world history, world culture stuff.
Wow.
Because Russia's the one that released this document.
Right.
Both times.
Jeez.
Russia released it about the Admiral Byrd thing, the Operation High Jump, and Russia released the document that said what happened when Kerry went down there.
Wow. Yeah,
crazy, right?
I believe it.
Okay. This is the episode that's going to get me. So other religious leaders have visited Antarctica, but you can see it in the news, but it doesn't say like he went there to return this relic that these guardians want or whatever.
Guardians.
So there you go. That's what the hell's going on in Antarctica.
That's crazy.
It was crazier than I ever anticipated.
Yeah, for real. Like I always knew it was very mysterious. I always knew that like there could be possible things happening over there that's covered up, but I really had no idea. Even just the depth of the ice was mind-blowing. And to think that there could be shit underneath there.
They are finding like prehistoric microbes and shit.
Yeah, that's so cool.
I saw an article on that and I closed it and I was like kicking myself because I couldn't find it again.
Well, your brain was probably overflowing with all of this information.
So what do you think?
I definitely think for sure that there could be aliens there. Mm-hmm. I think that if it's really not too cold to live.
I find that hard to believe.
Yeah. I mean, but how would we really know?
At least most of it is probably too cold to live.
Yeah. But I mean, I think that it could be it's way too like secretive and mysterious to just be a continent that's not explored. Like, I feel like it's explored. We just don't know the like reality of it.
Yeah.
And it could be totally like a space base.
And I saw a lot of Reddit comments that people just think it's so weird that like all the major countries would come together and sign a treaty for science. Like, what about the Amazon rainforest?
That's a really good point.
Like, why aren't we protecting that?
That's a really good point.
Why aren't we protecting anything else?
Yeah.
It's just very strange to think about.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. I think this was a great episode choice.
Yay.
I liked it.
It's time for listener mail.
Ooh.
So we got a lovely message from Lacey Freire. I had to look up how to pronounce her name, so I hope I got it right.
Cool.
Lacey says, as I can't see, I closed it. Lacey says, "Hey, weird people." You call them weird, Lacey.
I like it. I was just thinking I like it.
No, I'm just kidding. We are weird. Hey, weird people. Love the podcast. You guys help me through the day. I pop my headphones in and clean my house. So thank you for the clean house. Ha.
Aww, you're
and
welcome.
then she gave us a merch idea. So thank you so much, Lacey.
Cool, Lacey. Thank you. I love listening to podcasts when I clean my house too.
Same.
It's cool.
Okay. Well, here's to a better month.
Yeah, November's gonna kick ass.
Yeah, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Scorpio season.
November Scorpio season.
Yeah.
We're a different breed. All right.
All right. We will see you next week.
Yep, with a mini.
Yay.
Stay mysterious.